Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know that I feel good. Doing things I never
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk. I am so excited to have you here. I'm also a little saddened. This is going to be my last one I'm hosting with you guys, but it is going to be an absolutely extraordinary show. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics there is, which is going to be all about customer experience and making sure that you are delivering an extraordinary one that turns all of your clients and customers into referral makers and repeat clients and lifetime clients and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Before I go ahead and get to my very special guest, let me introduce myself. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Abby Welts. I'm the national director here at Homes for Heroes. I want to thank you guys for spending your time over the next hour or so with us. And I really want to encourage you guys, if you're investing your time in this, let's maximize the impact of it. This show is all about pouring into you and delivering as much value as we can to help us all raise the bar in our business, raise the bar for ourselves, and raise the bar throughout our industry as well. And we're going to be talking about things that will do just that. So, before we jump in, a little bit of housekeeping for you all. Please be present. Get out your notepads. If you're like me and you're super old school and you like to write it down, get out maybe your notepad on your phone, or maybe it's on a different device that you're going to be taking notes on. Get ready to pick some notes. And then what I want you to do with that, as we're communicating over the next 60 minutes together, I want you to really lean into your business, what it currently looks like right now, what are some challenges that you're facing, and what are your strengths. And I want you to pick 1 to 3 things that are going to help you implement what it is that you learn that will complement your strengths and your business, and maybe insert some solutions into some challenges that you're having. So listen closely for you personally, what's going to work for you, and definitely jot those down. Another thing I would encourage you guys to do is to put them in the chat. The more ahas that you share in there, the more it's just going to become ingrained in you, and it's going to inspire others, which is awesome as well. So that's what we're all about, pouring into each other, again, to help us raise the bar in this industry together. Another thing about the chat, I'm going to pop it up right now with you guys. We will be monitoring it throughout this entire show. So if you've got questions, throw them in there. We'll incorporate that into our conversation together. We'll even incorporate some of your ahas and takeaways that you've got that you throw in there as well. Utilize it kind of like a little networking area. It's a great space to introduce yourself. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I see so many of you really leaning in and engaged. Jamie, I see you, although it's officially James in here. Charles, Sarah, hello, hello. Hi, Megan. Hi, Melissa. Oh, so many great people. Okay, it's going to be an amazing show, and I feel like I've done plenty of talking for this already. So I'm going to button it up a little bit. But yes, please use that chat. We'll be monitoring it that entire time. And if you're watching the recording, go ahead and comment below, right? It's really amazing what you can do when you, again, lean in, share your ahas and takeaways, and just see how much that starts to get ingrained in you, and how you can turn that into action and movement so that you're actually implementing it and it can transform your business and your life. So, my special guest today is someone who absolutely redefines what it means to serve, not just to sell. She's grounded in super strong values. She leads with authenticity, and she believes that relationships always outlast any algorithm, which I absolutely love. That's what we're all about here, is the people. She's known for going above and beyond, and she's here today to share how agents can raise the bar, deepen trust, and stay grounded in a time when the industry feels anything but. Yeah, give me a change in the chat if you agree with that, because I certainly do. Please welcome the incomparable Diane Casey Luong to the show. Diane, I lost you, so I'm going to pull you up real quick. Give a warm welcome to Diane in the chat. Well, hello, friend. Oh, hang on. I'm going to make sure that you can unmute yourself.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes,
So
perfectly.
sorry about that. All of a sudden I was gone.
All good. All good. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's always great to participate in one of your meetings.
Well, I know you are going to drop some knowledge bombs in here throughout because you and I are both huge lovers of crafting this extraordinary customer experience and making sure that we are delivering on it. And one that kind of surprises and delights our people along the way that turns them into lifelong clients and certainly some of them friends as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of the best parts of the business to be able to create a client who can't wait to come back and work with you again, or can't wait to sing your praises to a friend and send more friends to get the same experience that they had.
Yeah.
It's all that leads right into that work smarter, not harder mentality. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, for those of us that don't have the pleasure of knowing you, would you mind just giving a quick short intro of yourself?
Sure. My name is Diane Luong. I am a licensed realtor in Massachusetts and Connecticut. I have been in the business, oh geez, about 18 long, short years. Um, been a proud member of Homes for Heroes team for 6 years now. Honored to be the number one Homes for Heroes affiliate in Massachusetts, about to cross the $250,000 give back in rewards to my clients. It's been a wonderful journey. Happy to have existing clients, happy to have new clients coming along, and always happy to share knowledge with agents that would like to maybe touch up, fine tune, or revamp how they're looking at their business. We're always looking to grow. I'm always looking to grow. I'm always looking for new ways to change, to improve, to enhance my service to my clients. And I love that people in our industry like to collaborate and share their experience as well.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely our tribe for collaboration and uplifting for sure and
Absolutely.
encouraging each
Yeah.
other. So
Yeah. Hmm.
I love that. Well, let's just go ahead and jump right in because I know what you've done and what you've built and how you're treating your clients and that experience that you're delivering has really contributed to we call it a snowball effect, your success, your
Hmm.
exponential growth along the way. And I think it's really important that we all take a minute to assess what that looks like in our business. So let's start with your philosophy. I know you and I talked about going the extra mile. What does that look like in your business for your clients today?
So sometimes it can be something that's a very small step for a home buyer. I think the market changed quite a bit in the last 4 years, right? Where, we couldn't get in for showings. You'd go to an open house, there would be 45 people in line outside of the house. There was a lot more um, agents that would be sending clients to open houses on their own. So sometimes for a buyer, it's a simple thing of, oh, there's 5 open houses. Let's start your search. Can I meet you at an open house? I can't tell you how often I've said to buyers, "Oh, you're going to the open house. What time are you planning to go? I'll meet you there." And it's almost this pause on the other end of the phone, like, "Oh, you're going to come with me to the open house? Like I don't have to just go and find out about that open house on my own." It seems like it should be a no-brainer step, but I'm definitely seeing more and more in the industry where I see less agents coming through the open houses that I'm having, even though their clients might be going along.
Mm,
Now, I can't do that every weekend, right? If I have 5 active buyers, it's really impossible. I've tried getting myself a cloning machine. I've tried all the tricks. Nobody will give me a second one of me running around. So, if clients are going to 20 open houses, that might get a little bit challenging. But that sometimes is just a small step to let your clients know, I'm really there for you. And it's not just, oh, go look at a bunch of open houses and then let me know if you like one and I'll be happy to write your offer. Sometimes in that same process with a buyer, it's, oh, you went to the open house and you really liked it. Sorry, I couldn't join you. Let me see if I can take a quick preview of it today so I can have an intelligent conversation about, did you see everything you should have seen, before we just jump right into what do the comps look like and should you be writing an offer? And if I haven't seen the property, how am I giving you any input?
Mm.
Again, surprisingly, when clients, surprisingly or not surprisingly, when clients go through open houses, if there's 30 or 40 people there, are they thinking to look at the electric panel? Are they thinking to pull up the corner of an area rug? And even sometimes with it's just, oh, I'll get a quick look this afternoon myself. And then I'm in there myself and I'll say, oh, did you happen to see this? Did you happen to see this? Here's a concern that I noted. And more often than not, those are things that clients don't think to check.
Mm.
With my seller clients, sometimes it's as simple as yesterday, I was waiting 2.5 hours for a fire inspection because the fire department, that's the window they gave. And my client was wrapping up the end of her school year. So, okay, I brought my laptop. I said to her, I might be sitting at your kitchen table. She said, well, that might be the only area of the house that's not packed because we're selling. So I, took my laptop and I worked at her house instead of my house so that it wasn't juggling the fire inspector. It's just taking a few extra steps off of your client's plate and not just saying, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're looking to sell your house. Here's your laundry list of things that you need to do. Let me know when you're done and I'll come take pictures. Sometimes it's getting a little more involved in, how do we get that laundry list done? Do I need to put you in touch with a clean out company? Do I need to put you in touch with a house cleaner, with a painter, with an electrician? Helping get those steps along the way, as opposed to just giving the laundry list and saying, okay, here's your laundry list. Call me when you're done.
Mm. Yeah. So much great stuff in there. And you're really leaning into your expertise to level up your business, right? To just make sure that they know you are an expert in the field and figuring out ways that you can share with them the information that they might have missed too, but also leaning into that personal connection and relationship building
Mhm.
for them as well is something that's really something you do so well. And I have talked to some of her clients, you guys, they rave about Diane. Ugh.
I want my clients to realize that it's a team experience. It's not just, I'm just here to collect my paycheck. I'll put the sign in the front yard, take the pictures, and, you're on your own for the rest. I won't, sometimes I've had several estate clients where I'm dealing with family members who are out of state. They don't, oh, where do we find this person? How do we get the house cleaned out? What should we do next? Where should we start? What do we do about personal paperwork? Sometimes their challenges are very overwhelming with just getting people into their next home, their next place that they're gonna set up lifestyle for their family. And the house becomes the more daunting task.
Mm,
Failed septic system. Where do we begin? How do we get these things done? You know, who meets the engineer on the rainy day with, your mud boots to watch the perk test be done? Like, none of it is the exciting part of our jobs, but it's all those one, right? It can be that one extra ribbon on the gift that you're giving your clients with that leveled up service.
mm. Yeah. And I also love that you mentioned too, it doesn't have to be like grand. We're not
Mhm.
talking about like this huge thing or party that you've got to spend a boatload of time or money on. It's literally it's the little moments that make all the difference,
Mhm.
and equal up to the full grand experience that you're able to deliver to
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Sometimes it's not even a specific act. It's more of your approach to people. It's the talking clients off the ledge when they've had the fifth or the ninth offer that's gotten rejected, to understand, have some compassion, show some empathy, that you realize how frustrated it is, that you're as disappointed as they are, not for your own impact on, okay, that's a missing paycheck, but just the struggles that they're going through,
Mhm.
especially in limited inventory. And especially when clients start to second guess, are they doing the right thing by not waiving their inspection, not offering to cover an appraisal gap, not skipping out on a piece that's really important to them, even though the world is saying this might be what you need to do. It's having their back and saying, no, you have to stay the course. And if you stay the course, good things will happen.
Yeah. Having helping carry their faith for them,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yep.
Awesome. Well, let's walk back to kind of, I know you mentioned the open house thing and just making sure that you're advising them and sharing your expertise on the specific properties that they're interested in. Let's walk you back to a new client. We all know there's been a lot of changes and stuff going on in our
A
industry,
lot of noise.
a lot of noise around commissions and compensations and all of that.
Right.
It's been a while. So how are you reframing your value to your clients now? And what advice do you have for any others that might be struggling with this shift that we're all having to navigate through?
I think when this first came along, what I saw in a lot of people was fear on how were they going to structure these conversations with their clients. And one of the first conversations that I had with a couple colleagues was put yourself in the mindset of any other service industry out there. So you go to your accountant for CPA services. You don't get that service for free. You go to an attorney for legal advice. You don't get that service for free. You go to any service industry and there's a fee involved. And so, yes, we were for a long time, we didn't have to have much conversation about compensation, although that may have led into some of the issues. And now we do. So for me, step one is know your worth, know what you bring to the table, know what you're going to deliver for your level of service so that you can speak confidently when you're talking about commissions and how it works. And you have to get past that being afraid of someone saying, well, no, if the seller doesn't pay your commission, I'm not going to pay your commission. You have to figure out how are you going to have that conversation of if the seller's not going to pay my commission, then we have to maybe get creative in how we structure your offer so that it's going to cover my compensation. And you have to be able to explain what it is you're going to deliver. If you're asking for 2% or 2.5% or whatever that percentage is, make that calculation. You're talking about a $10,000 commission or a $5,000 commission. That's a lot of money for anybody. What are you bringing to the table to make that palatable and worthwhile? And how are you showing up to represent them? If you're going and you're asking a seller, hey, I'm giving you my buyer's offer and I want 2% from you, Mr. Seller. Well, if you're the agent that showed up at the open house or you're the agent that previewed the property and showed that you're working for your client, that's a more palatable conversation for the list agent to have with the seller. Hey, this is an agent that showed up. I'm the agent that drove 2 hours to the Cape to preview a property after my client had looked at it at an open house before I wrote the offer. The agent was surprised that I drove 2 hours. She's like, I can't believe you came down here when your client saw it at the open house. I said, well, he wants my opinion on price. And how am I going to do that just by looking at your pictures? Bring what you have to the table, and those conversations become much more palatable because you will truly believe in your worth and what you're bringing to your clients.
I don't even know where to go with that. It was so well said. Oh, so know your worth is one thing. That is something that's very challenging for so
Mhm.
many of us.
Sure.
I'm gonna go a little deeper with you if you're open to it.
Sure.
Do you have any tips or strategies on somebody that might be struggling with that? Because belief is an incredibly powerful thing. Your thoughts, how you're communicating with yourself, your worth, your beliefs that you have, all that kind of stuff. It literally heads you in the direction of where whatever you're thinking is where you're going, right?
Hmm. Right.
So finding a way to get worthiness, confidence, right? Confidence breeds confidence, so that helps. But
Hmm.
how do you feel so resolute that you're worthy enough to have that conversation? And are there strategies that you've used to help boost that for yourself?
I think for me, when I started thinking about how the NAR changes were going to affect my business and how was I going to have these conversations, I did start to make myself lists and look back at what are the steps that I take for each client? How do I work with my buyers? And then that helped me enhance and, feel more confident about what I was bringing to the table because I knew that with my buyers, I take these steps. The other thing that I was am very confident in talking about is my feelings of the settlement and how it all came about. I have a, I feel that some of the lack of transparency that was maybe in our industry led to much of the lawsuits. And so I find that when you can boil down and give someone a cliff note version of what the lawsuit meant, how did we get there, and what does it mean now going forward, that everybody really should understand who's getting paid for what, who's paying who for what, and it's about transparency, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
Mm,
It's about continuing to educate our clients so that they understand the service they're getting and they're understanding the costs involved and who bears those costs. When you're talking to a seller nowadays, you have to still educate them as to when the buyer comes along and they have all these fees. They have a down payment, they have closing costs, they have the inspection fees. And you say to your seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you were buying today, could you cover those costs and pay your agent 2%? And that will bring people around to say, oh, now I see why buyers will be looking for me to cover their costs.
mm,
But I think back to your original point, if you're trying to hone your worth, start with the steps that you take for your clients. And when you start to list, almost like a job description, you start to list the things you do in your job, you're going to feel your value. You're going to feel the value that you bring to your clients, and you're going to start to be confident in your worth.
yeah, I love that. It's kind of taking an inventory of what it is
Mhm.
that we just go on autopilot, especially for those of us that have been in the industry for so long. It's mind-boggling how much it is that you guys actually do, not just in the negotiating or in the thick of the moment, but it's all of
For
it. So I
sure.
think that's really
Yeah,
smart to kind of get that list and inventory what it is that you bring to the table.
sure.
And if you're a little bit on shaky ground with that, print it off and put it in front of you where you see it every single day and be like, no, look at me. I'm a rock star. I do all of
Hmm.
this for my clients and help them and
Absolutely.
all that kind of stuff. So
There's nothing wrong with reaching around and giving yourself a pat on the back, with all that you do. I think, when we were chatting, prepping for this, I mentioned I've had a few conversations with my mom who loves talking about the industry, and she's constantly saying to me, "Well, why is that your job? Why is that your job?" I'm like, "Well, because it's a problem that needs to be solved." And I make it my job because if I don't solve that problem, then I don't get to move to the next step. So no, maybe it's not on that list of that I laid out for myself, but it's come up as an activity that needs to be done. So I am that person that's like, okay, well, let's just take the ball and run with it because if I'm going to sit back and wait for someone else to do it, I might be waiting for a long time.
yeah, for sure. We've got a lot of chats coming in. Brett, thank you so much. Charles, I see your question. Definitely Google it. There are so many great videos that give a short synopsis of the NAR lawsuit and everything that happens for sure. I'm gonna hold that and just say Google it first. And then Jamie, I'm excited that you're digging into your hero journey. That's absolutely extraordinary. It's really great to, again, inventory what that process looks like from start to finish, which is my next question for you, Diane, right? Tell me, are there things or specific actions, or maybe it's things that you do, I don't know, that any special touches that help make the biggest difference in deepening that client trust and turning them into repeat clients and walking billboards to get you referrals as well?
Honestly, this may sound a little cheeky, but I'm gonna say you really have to be your authentic self.
Mm,
Like if if you're not a warm, fuzzy, hugging person, don't pretend to be a warm, fuzzy, hugging person. You can give good service without being fake, right? You can show up for your clients in your best way without trying to be something that you're not. Because if you're trying to be something that you're not over and over and over again, somewhere it's going to fall by the wayside. And if you're being your authentic self, you're always going to be able to be your authentic self.
mm. Again, going a little bit deeper in this question, how did you find that for you? Because also often, I mean, even personal experience, right? I follow plenty of people on social media. One is this awesomely quirky lady that records the best videos ever. And she's like, hopping over here and hopping over here. And she talks really fast. She does all the things. And she's like super bubbly. And I'm like, that's amazing for her. And I'm attracted to it. But that's not gonna work for me. And I know that. And it takes some time to do that. But have you ever, I know you do this because I know you do coaching. But do you find space? Do you take a pause? How do you learn what that voice is for you?
Yeah, I think it's all of those things. So, lots of times you're going to find your most authentic self when you're in the thick of it, right? Like you're in the thick of problem solving, and it would be easy to go off reservation and I don't know, just explode on something. Or you can take a breath. Yes, have that vent way over here where it's not in the midst of the transaction. But lots of times, like my clients, they'll need that calming voice, not that, oh yeah, this is all bad and it's all bad and I don't know how to fix it. So some of that is some prep work. Some of it is hone your problem solving skills, be comfortable with saying, I don't have the answer to that, but we're going to find the answer to that. Again, for me, a lot of it is just don't pretend to be something that you're not. It's okay to not know all the answers. It's okay to have to consult with someone else. It's okay to have to say, that's not in my wheelhouse. That's in the attorney. I just had this today. That's really in the attorney's wheelhouse. I didn't go to law school for a reason. This is one of the reasons. But it's okay to do that as long as they know that you're still there for them and you're going to help find the answer. You're still working to make this a successful transaction.
Mm,
And some of that is, kind of digging deep and getting to know yourself a little bit better. And I think in our industry, there's a lot of people that struggle with how am I going to find business? Oh, to your point, I'm going to go and I see this woman who does these fun, crazy videos. That's not me. I've been saying I'm going to do videos forever, and I still can't get myself to put myself in front of the phone and make a video. So know what your skill set is, and if you want to learn new skill sets, then definitely try and error. But I try and stay within the skill sets that you're comfortable with, because that's where you will continue to practice and thrive.
yeah, it's definitely so true. And even thinking through that answer and everything, I'm thinking also once you find your kind of authentic voice, like you said, you're calming, you're reassuring, right? That's just kind of your nature and who you
Mhm.
are. That's a strength of yours that not everybody possesses. I think it's so vital that you really lean into that, even if who you're following isn't doing that, because your own unique voice is just that, right?
Hmm.
Your own unique voice, and you absolutely attract your tribe with what you're reflecting out there. So it's got to be able to be consistent across every single channel, every single medium, whether it's your email follow-up tone, whether it's your website, whether it's your social, like wherever you're putting yourself out there, that experience, that's the whole
Hmm.
thing, and your own personal brand, it's got to match and it's got to map.
Right.
Otherwise, that's where your clients have that unnerved feeling of distrust. Something's not like they can't usually put their finger on it, but they're like,
Hmm.
something's off.
Right.
And that can really impact your business too. So leaning into who you are, your strengths. I talked about it earlier on in the housekeeping section. It's so
Hmm.
important to do that because then you're you and you're consistent and you're not having to put up a false face, which is honestly draining at the end
Right.
of the day anyways.
And it's hard to stay consistent to that when you're not being your authentic self. And I think if you're new in the industry, you can glean a lot by following different people, and you'll learn as much about yourself as you will about them. You'll learn about what they're portraying that you might say, "Oh, I feel that way too," or "I can relate to that." And it's just as important, though, to find the people that maybe you don't relate to. Maybe you still follow them, but you're not adding that into, you're not absorbing that into your being. You're not absorbing that into your core because it's interesting to see their perspective, but it's not something that you feel is going to help you strengthen.
Mm.
So, observing, if you're new to the industry, observing people, seeing if you can find someone to mentor, I think is great, and take away what meshes well with your innate personalities and not try to make yourself into something that you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony Robbins talks a lot about having a mirror, if you will, and I don't mean mirroring in like the actions and stuff that you can do to connect with people, but looking at the people that you admire most, whether it's in the industry or elsewhere, right? It could
Mhm.
be, I don't know, it could be Tony Robbins, it could be Beyonce, it could be whoever, right? But find the people that you're admiring most and look for the traits that you admire within them. Usually that's what cuts to your core and what you're relating to. So it's within you. And that's why you're
Mhm.
attracted to those people too. And lean into that if you're just kind of starting into the self-discovery, figuring out your voice, finding a
Mhm.
platform to grow upon. It levels you up so quickly once you know your 3 to 5 things that you're gonna play their strengths and it makes you your unique. And then you can plug that into every aspect of your experience too.
I
Gone
think
are
it,
the days where we're white glove service and on and like if I hear that
right.
same bio one more time, like no more copy and pasting here, people.
Right. Right. It also helps as you continue to build awareness about yourself, you're going to help add to your skill set and you're going to help identify when I was talking about listing your steps that you're doing so that you can talk confidently about what you're bringing to the table. Knowing yourself better is going to help you enhance that list and hone that list. So again, you're feeling more confident about talking to new clients, earning their business, earning their trust, and then having no qualms about asking them to tell someone else about how their experience was with working with you.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you can share a couple of more examples of how you go above and beyond and do deliver this customer experience. I know you do it on autopilot, right? But we talked about educating them up front, knowing your worth, speaking to you and your strengths and being authentic with that. But if someone's working with you along the way, you're taking an extra step to make sure that you've previewed the house, right? To show them. Are there any
Mhm.
other, like, what else are you putting, inserting into the, not just the transaction and the sale of the home, but also the follow up afterwards too?
So it's definitely for me, it's definitely custom from client to client. A couple examples. So one listing that I recently received was from, it was a referral from a friend who works within some towns, boards of health in certain areas where they have some pretty significant hoarding issues, some significant seniors being in housing longer, living on their own, who aren't quite able to live independently. And one particular situation it was for me, it was pretty emotionally heart-wrenching. Um, Woman who, for all intents and purposes, is disengaged from her family, had a really tragic 5 years since the loss of her husband, and basically became immobilized within her house. It was a very challenging situation, that we did manage to, through some social work help, got her into an assisted living. But then it was tackling a house that it really had been in disarray for 5+ years.
Mm,
So it was where to start. And it was all keeping in mind that she was now in assisted living, not able to drive, not really able to make any of these arrangements herself. So it became all me. I coordinated the clean out company, the cleaning company. I was there for the quotes. I went through the property even when everyone else was like, I don't feel comfortable going in there for a numerous. I'm like, okay, well, I have to go in there. I have to evaluate the property. And if that means I have to come out and change my clothes or jump in a shower somewhere or something, that's okay. I'll do that. And it went right down to, her family would have to get her a van to come to the attorney. Or so I brought in an attorney who was willing to meet with her at the assisted living facility.
mm,
When I did her paperwork, I went to the assisted living facility. We do so much in our industry now with technology and electronic signing. She didn't have a computer. She couldn't do that. So on purchase and sale signing date, I went and I was there for an hour and a half, going through paragraph by paragraph, explaining her purchase and sale so that she felt comfortable signing the document. She was deemed competent. She was in charge of her own affairs, but it was timing and logistics. And, again, people were like, well, why is that your job? Well, she's my client. How, I'm not that person. I'm not going to just say, okay, here, family member, take her this document, let her read it and call the attorney if you have questions. That's just not in my makeup. So that was at the end of the day, it was a huge success story for her. She sold her property for more than $100,000 over what she expected in her mind. She thought it was worth. Um, we just had the right tools in place. I had the right tools in place, and she was incredibly grateful. Um, my other clients, I will drive 2 hours to look at a property. I drove to the Cape only to find out, my client couldn't make the open house, even though we had plans to be there. He was a law enforcement officer, got stuck at work. I went through, I got him on video chat and I said, hey, let's take a video tour. We were on FaceTime. I walked him through the property. I pointed out all the issues. I went back. I talked to the agent, just an extra step to make him feel comfortable that he was there at the property.
mm,
I've had clients that have bought completely remotely and haven't seen the house until almost day of closing. Little heart throbbing for me because it's a lot of prep work to get there. But it's technology has become a friend to us in that regard because you can do so much through video. I've done full 2-hour inspections just through Facebook video or Facebook connecting.
mm.
It's what's going to make it work for your client and how are you going to be able to give them the best service.
Yeah. So you're really centered around human connection,
Hmm.
and customizing it to them. Do you have any um, systems or automations? You mentioned technology, right? And I kind of want to drive down that for a little bit, but I'm wondering if you're doing handwritten cards or closing gifts, or you've got a follow-up system where they're getting on email drip campaigns, or what is that the full experience look like? Do you have some of those things, or is it really like, no, we're in this together. Well, I'm going to be there every step of the way.
So during the transaction, I'm there every step of the way, even when I'm not there physically. I am the person that I'm reachable on vacation. Some people think I'm crazy, but I just I can't leave my clients behind. That's just not who I am. So when my clients have a home inspection and I'm out of town, I'm following up after inspection. I'm talking to them. I'm talking to the home inspector. I'm talking to my colleague so that I can feel like I was at the inspection to know how I'm going to best serve them post inspection. As far as follow up with my clients, I do several mail outs during the year. I try to do it quarterly where I'm sending them maybe a little snippet about the market. I might be sending them just fun summer gardening tips. I don't have my existing clients on a constant drip campaign because I feel like my personal feeling is I feel like if they just purchase, they may not want to follow the market. But I do stay in contact with them. I do my mail outs to them. I do send them information about upcoming events. If I'm promoting a new promotional for first time home buyers or offering something as a seller incentive, I'll mail out to my past clients and say, I'm offering this seller incentive. Do you have any friends or family that are looking to buy or sell? Just sort of that soft approach to stay in front of them so that they're remembering me if they are planning to sell or buy, and they're thinking about me to talk to their friends.
Yeah. Perfect. And I know you guys, what you see is what you get here with Diane for sure. You are a rock star on social talking about technology and lead gen and advertising and all that kind of stuff that's grown really increasing over the last decade
Mhm.
or so. How are you blending the technology component and the social media component with your really human-centered, like real world kind of touch points too?
Yeah, so I do some social media advertising. Some of it is linked to, and this always is kind of it's that seesaw between agents. Some people feel like you really do need to spend money to make money. Other people feel like when times are lean, they're not spending money. Some feel like, in print is passé, and nobody's getting newspapers anymore. But my mom is 82 and she still reads the news. She likes that paper feel. She's also always in the bookstore buying books instead of a Kindle. So you have to figure out your target audience. Um, you advertise in newspapers or magazines, all of those are online. So if you're putting something in print, actually a piece of paper, you're getting access to their online. And then you can link those through your social media. If you write an article for a newspaper, you can link that in your social media. Social media, I think, can be a really nice tool, but what I hear and where I see most of my feedback on social media is if you yourself, any of you and your clients are present somehow. Like my feedback is always 10 times greater if I happen to be in the picture or I happen to be with a client versus just here's my latest blog, go read it and hopefully you like it. That again, trying to over Facebook and social media and videos make that personal connection, even though you're doing it through technology.
Mm. I love that you shared that. You're leveraging yourself. It's social's a lot about storytelling, but we even found with some of our advertising too in the past that when you have real people in the
Mhm.
pictures, the ads perform better. So the fact that you can just grab a quick selfie with your clients and post
Mhm.
that instead of spending an hour and a half on Canva and doing up this miraculous graphic that's just going to be so thumb stopping, right? Like, no, just grab a picture.
Yeah.
It's thumb
Which, by
stopping
the
enough.
way, I am so inept at Canva. I keep saying I'm going to learn it, and then I'm like, oh, this is working fine for me, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm sure it probably would make my life much easier. But yeah, it's about, again, people, I've heard this from even my photographer and my marketing person who helps me. He's like, people love the posts that your face is in it. I'm like, whoever thought anyone would want to see all these pictures of me? But when you're doing something else, I mean, my latest post with my elderly client that we solved the hoarding issue. I mean, we joked because she said, "Oh, does this mean I won't see you again?" I said, "I'm gonna come and we're gonna have a champagne toast." And so I did a post with us holding little champagne glasses, and people loved that. It was that personal connection, and it was her story, not my story.
Hmm.
It was her story and the impact that I was able to make for her.
Yeah. So incredibly invaluable. And honestly, that right there, even you sharing that and showing that you got some traction with it, but knowing the story and being able to tell it, right? That is a booster from a worthiness perspective too. So grab your wins and stack them together because
Right.
that's a huge win that you got for your client and you I don't know that she would have gotten there without you.
Yeah. It definitely was that, I have had a few elderly clients where I have sat back at the end of the transaction and thought, I'm so thankful that they found me because I'm not sure how this process would have gone for them or their family had they been with someone who was just, okay, here's your list of things to do. Call me when they're done. Like,
Hmm.
how long would that process have taken? From my first meeting with this client to being under contract, we were less than 4 weeks. And that was a huge clean out process, 10 days of clean out, 2 full days of cleaning, then photos and marketing. Um, so within a 3 week period of time, we had her less than 3 weeks under contract. And for someone that had gone through such that traumatic experience or traumatic time in her life, to just be the person to get handed a list and her and her family who, were doing the best they could to just say, here's your homework list, like, get it done and then call me back.
Mm,
I'm not sure how long that would have taken for them and how frustrating that may have been for them.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so important, I think, to I'm going to start getting into systems that help with you because systems help us scale.
Hmm.
But making sure that you're not setting up rigid systems that your clients now have to fit in the box for
Right.
it, right? Leveraging a system, right, or a process so that things don't fall through the cracks, but highly customizable to the person on the other end where you can tweak your delivery, right?
Hmm.
That's the same thing with mirroring, right? Go with what they need and provide that service and support for sure. So have you found, oh gosh, we talked a little bit about mindset already, but any mindset shifts or systems that really help protect your work-life balance for one, because we're all kind of striving for that, right? Although it
Right.
doesn't sound like you have much of it. We're all guilty. I get it. But protect
Yeah.
that work-life balance while still being able to show up fully for your clients.
So for me, I think it's really important to recognize when you need some help. It's a lot easier to be out of town if you have some what I call boots on the ground who are going to give your clients the same service that you would have given them. Sometimes that is challenging to find. Sometimes it's colleagues that I pay to cover some things, and sometimes it's colleagues that I can just trade coverage with. But I'm very selective in who I'm asking to work with my clients because I want to make sure that they are feeling like I'm there, even if I'm not there. So that was a little bit challenging for me to find clients who are gonna, and it was a little bit of a giving up a little control because I think I have a little bit of a control issue with how I like my client service. Um, but you have to kind of first and foremost have a really good team and not a team where you're saying, okay, the ink is dry, this person's going to take you the rest of the way. But when you can't be in 5 places at the same time, you have people that you can rely on and you have people who are going to take care of the person as you would want them taken care of,
Mm,
or as you would take care of if you were there in person.
yeah.
That for me is a big thing. And as I've been able to hone that, it certainly has helped with my balance. While I still stay very connected when I'm away and out of town, I can be away and not have as much, angst about my clients and are they getting good service and do I really have to be, traveling to be within a couple hours of home so that if I have to get in the car and come home, I will.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And for Charles too, I know he's brand new. He's 2 months in. Welcome to the industry. It's going to be a spectacular ride. I think too,
Congratulations on passing the exam. That's
yes,
important step number one.
love it. You mentioned who you partner with matters significantly, right?
Mhm.
It's really all about not just your tribe of your clients, but the tribe of the people that you partner with as well. Make sure that they are on the same level and of the same experience standards that you are. And I think when you find those really strong partners, whether it's a lender or an agent or a home inspector or a title company or all the people that you've got to kind of work with along the way to get the transaction closed,
Hmm.
having that trust and then once you've got those strong partnerships is a game changer for right that work-life balance that you're doing because
Yes.
you know Diane that you don't have to actually be there at that home inspection. That
Right.
home inspector will know exactly what you look for when you wrap it up and
Mhm.
you've got that really strong solid partnership, so that's those partnerships are so pivotal
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah, and now more and more, I think in the industry, it's beyond just the good lender and it's the beyond just, good attorney, good title company, having those people you can lean into for advice, an inspection that goes bad, an electrician, a plumber, a heating person, a contractor. And again, sometimes these people you never want to, you don't want anyone to feel like they're being taken advantage of. So some of it is somebody you pay and not for nothing, but I think our industry is an industry where we, for the most part, get paid very well for what we do. So if it's you need someone to come and assess an issue and it means you ask an electrician to come in and they want $100 consultation fee, well, it may not be your clients digging in their pocket every time you need that second opinion. It may be, or if you have a colleague that can cover, it's not that, just expecting someone to give up their free time. It's one thing if I ask someone to just be present to open a door because a buyer's agent is coming through. It's another if I'm asking someone to give up 2 or 2.5 hours of their time to be at a home inspection with my clients.
Mm,
So it's gauging where you want to be able to put your tribe together, not have anyone feel taken advantage of, and respect their time. So
mhm.
if it's you got a budget for some coverage, then put that in your budget plan so that you can have good people at the ready, even if sometimes it means you have to pay someone to be there.
Yeah, for sure. Brett, I love that you're walking away with making sure that we have real humans in your marketing pieces. It's not just shoving your face on the business card, so don't think that's what we're saying for that, but definitely telling real stories.
Hmm.
And your real voice too. Not that Diane does a ton of video, but it's helpful for that as well if you're getting into
Right,
that.
right.
Okay, we're coming up really close on time. I've got a couple of wrap questions for you. Um, what would you say to agents who are feeling pressure to compete on price, right? And compensation, or
Hmm.
speed maybe instead of the real true value and that connection that you're so good at.
Yeah, so I think I don't know how it is in other areas. Our market is just recently starting to shift in some areas. So we're seeing again some agents that are taking the approach of, well, let's underprice you so that we can, do an open house, get you 15 offers and get you an over asking price, all kind of at that full percentage, as opposed to taking an approach that says, okay, well, here's where we might be a little bit on the high side, and maybe instead of being sold in a weekend, it might take us 2 months, but we don't have to worry, are we going to get the 15 offers?
Mm,
It's definitely a different approach. It's a different mindset. Um, I say to my clients all the time, well, 15 offers is great, but I can't sell your house to 15 people. I only can sell your house to one. So and I can't guarantee if I underprice you that you're going to get 15 offers over asking price. There's just no guarantees in this industry. And we in my market area are finding that appraisers are getting a little bit tougher. They're definitely honing in on the market. They're definitely honing in on the shift. And again, it's troublesome and worrying to me that people will kind of sell their clients down the river for a paycheck.
Mm,
And if you're giving that client service and you're doing right by your clients, I think you will be able to sustain in this business longer because that reputation is going to carry you through the good years and the bad years.
mm, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we recent that's it's really it's a hard mindset, right? And
Mhm.
perspective to have, especially in the moment when you're maybe in need and you're focused on the funds and you're just looking at the one transaction that you may have being put together or falling apart in front of you, right? But being motivated by the money is such a short-term way to approach your business, right?
Mhm.
Truly being
Yeah.
motivated by the movement, the experience, the people that are a part of it, like the bigger picture of it is really what's going to help shift your perspective and make those tough calls and make the right ones, right?
Mhm.
Instead of
Yeah.
just trying to keep the deal together, which
Yeah.
sometimes that's what it takes. That's what you need to do too. But yeah, so important. So important. All right. Last but not least, if there's one thing that you hope the industry doesn't lose sight of as we evolve, what is it and why does it matter now more than ever?
I think it's the personal connection, and I think it matters more now just because of the advances in technology. So, I say all the time, the technology is a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing because we can do things electronically, we can sign electronically, we can provide people with more information out on the internet without everybody having to get right out to a property and see all the pictures and get a description and take a video tour. But as we kind of continue down AI and chat GBT and all of these tools that can enhance our work, I think it makes it a little harder to focus on the personal connections.
Mm,
So I hope that people will continue to reach out and keep those personal connections both in their personal lives and their business lives, because I do think that when the dust settles and things aren't as new in the technology world, I think people will get back to realizing how much they want and need that as part of their transaction.
mm. Yeah, I couldn't have wrapped it up better for this specific webinar myself. It's so important, right? Those relationships, it's not just the relationships with your clients, you guys, it's the relationship with yourself too. Because ChatGPT, you can get really lazy and it can do all the things for you, but it doesn't know you or have your voice or
Right,
do all those things.
right,
So leverage it to help, right? To help, not to take over.
right.
Oh, you're
Yes.
amazing. I love
I
talking to
was in
you.
San Francisco earlier this month, and I actually saw one of those Wago cars, like literally the driverless cars, and I literally started to have heart palpitations like this can't be happening. I don't think I would want to be in a driverless car. And it definitely brings some of those things to the forefront. And almost made me want to be more focused on the personal connections and the personal touch to make sure in my own personal life that I am making time to see people, to have in-person conversations, to have in-person connections, even with people that I oftentimes it's great to have a text conversation going back and forth, but it reminds you that you need that in-person connection as well.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. You are a true joy, my friends. Thank you so much for taking your time today and sharing your wisdom and experience and everything that you do with all of us. I really appreciate it, Diane.
Well, thank you. It was really great to spend some time with you, and I hope that if anybody took away a few nuggets, then my mission for today is complete.
Absolutely. You guys have been amazing. I loved all your chat comments. I can't wait to see how you take this and apply it to your businesses to help serve your clients even better and grow your business. So, thank you all so much for your time. It's been an honor. Yeah. Thank you, Diane.
All
Appreciate you
right.
more than you know.
Thank you, everybody, and
All
good
right.
luck with all of your businesses.
Make it a great day.
Take care. Bye bye.